Hi, it's Dina Rich, broker associate with Keller Williams Realty on South Padre Island, and I'm here to share some important information for buyers. On March 15th, 2024, an announcement was made by the National Association of Realtors concerning a settlement of a lawsuit. The lawsuit was a result of sellers believing that NAR set fixed commissions, which was never the case. Commissions have always been and always will be negotiable. As a result of the settlement, beginning in August of 2024, NAR bans the communication of offers of compensation by the seller to the buyer's agent. There was once a field in our MLS listings that displayed the buyer-agent compensation amount. That field will be eliminated starting in August of 2024. Please note that the settlement prohibits the communication of offers of compensation and not the actual compensation. And it has not eliminated the need to compensate buyer agents. We cannot work for free. A common misinterpretation of the settlement is that sellers are banned from offering compensation to buyers' agents. Or, even if the result of the settlement is understood properly, some sellers may decide not to compensate buyer agents anymore. So, as a buyer, you may need to prepare for and plan to compensate your buyer agent for situations in which sellers refuse to do so. Starting in August of 2024, nationwide, NAR requires that buyers sign a buyer agreement before viewing any properties with an agent. This agreement outlines the duties and responsibilities of the agent, as well as states the amount the buyer will pay the agent in the event that the seller does not offer compensation to the buyer agent. However, the buyer agreement clearly states that the buyer agent will first attempt to seek compensation from the seller. Sometimes I wonder if there may be members of the public who don't fully understand how real estate agents get paid. Commissions are not bonus pay. They are our paycheck. We are not salaried employees with a scheduled payday and a guaranteed yearly income. Nor do we punch a time clock and get paid an hourly wage. We are only paid upon the closing of a transaction. Now, are there some buyer agents out there that will work at a cheaper rate than others? Yeah, probably. However, if an agent is offering their services at a deeply discounted rate, you need to ask yourself a few key questions. First of all, why is this agent willing to work so cheaply? Why are they devaluing their own work? The answer is most likely that they're desperate for business. Which raises another question. Why are they desperate for business? The answer may be that they're lacking in experience or maybe just not very good at their job. Do you want to rely on this type of agent to represent your interests? Additionally, if an agent is so quickly willing to knuckle under and not stand up for themselves, do you think that agent will be able to fight for you and stand strong on your behalf when you're negotiating with the seller? It's important to note the following. 26% of Texas real estate agents have been licensed less than 4 years. Approximately 2/3 of Texas agents work other jobs, and they're only involved in real estate part-time. On average, 50% of Texas agents sell fewer than 10 properties per year, and 25% sell less than 5. Now, some buyers may believe that if they contact the seller's agent, that they won't have to pay any compensation and everyone will save money. Although that may be the case, it is very unlikely. When most agents, myself included, work with both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction, we may slightly reduce our fee, but not eliminate one side of it completely. Why? Because one agent is doing twice the work. When I'm working with both buyers and sellers, I have two separate and distinct checklists. If I miss a step on either list, the transaction may be at risk of falling through. Additionally, working with the seller's agent creates a situation in which sellers have a greater advantage because they have an agent representing them, but you don't. The seller's agent is working in the best interest of the seller. It's their fiduciary duty to obtain the highest price and best terms for their client, not for you. Could a buyer choose to enter into a transaction with no agent assistance? Of course. I recently made a list of all of the things that I do before, during, and after working with a buyer. There are over 120 items on the list. Do you think the average buyer could complete all of those tasks? Do you think the average buyer even knows what needs to be on the list? An agent in the Chicago area tracked data for transactions in which buyers were unrepresented. He found that 78% of those transactions were unsuccessful and did not make it to closing. And maybe someday you and I will sit down over a glass of iced tea and I'll tell you some true stories about a few buyers that chose to forego my representation and how things turned out for them. So in conclusion, I think it's in the best interest of both buyers and sellers for sellers to continue to offer compensation to the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Unfortunately, we may have some sellers that do not agree. But I think we can all agree that someone who does this much work cannot be expected to work for free.